The mornings come heavy on our land. Not quiet, never quiet, but thick. The kind of thickness that settles into your lungs before the sun has even climbed the ridge. By the time I step onto the porch, the air already clings to my skin, damp with heat that promises to worsen. Insects hum low in the grass, gather along the fence, drift in slow, restless clouds that never seem to settle. I stand there longer than I should. It's a habit I haven't broken since my parents died. As if one morning might be different. As if I might hear my father again, splitting wood behind the barn with that steady rhythm that made everything feel certain. Or my mother at the window, calling me in with flour on her hands and impatience in her voice. But there is only wind. Dry. Empty. Pulling through brittle weeds like a whisper that has forgotten what it meant to say. I step down into the yard. The ground is already warm beneath my boots. Too warm for the hour. It means the well will sit lower today. It means the beans will struggle again. It means I will measure every handful of water and pretend it is enough. The fence to the east has sagged. I see it immediately. Just enough of a lean to matter, just enough to remind me that nothing here holds without effort. I take the hammer from the porch rail and walk toward it, brushing past tall grass that scratches at my skirt. Work first, thinking later. That is how I have survived. The post shifts under my hands when I test it. The soil gives too easily, dry at the surface but weak beneath. I press it back into place, pack the dirt with my heel, and begin to drive the nail. Each strike carries farther than it should. Out here, sound travels. I pause after the third hit. There it is again. Not the echo of my hammer, something else. Hoofbeats. Distant but steady. I straighten slowly, my fingers tightening around the handle, and turn toward the ridge. No one comes this way without reason. The road lies far enough that strangers do not wander here by mistake. The rider appears a moment later, a man cutting along the fence line at an angle, his pace unhurried but certain. He does not look lost. He looks like someone who has chosen this path carefully. My chest tightens before I can stop it. It has been months since anyone has come close. Neighbors pass at a distance when they must, trade what is needed, and leave without lingering. That is how things are done. That is how I have kept things simple. This man does not seem in a hurry to leave. As he draws nearer, the details sharpen. Dust clings to his coat, worked deep into the fabric like it belongs there. His hat sits low, shadowing his eyes, but I catch the shape of his face, hard lines, set in a way that speaks of long roads and little rest. His horse moves with fatigue, not weakness, but the quiet strain of distance. He stops at the fence, does not cross. That tells me we look at one another for a moment that stretches longer than it should. "You live here?" he asks. His voice is rough, like it has not been used much. "I do." His gaze shifts past me, taking in the house, the barn, the dry stretch of field beyond, measuring, quietly. "You managing?" It is a simple question, but it lands heavier than it should. "I've managed this long," I say. Something flickers across his face, not doubt, not quite approval. "Daniel Reed," he says. I hesitate only a moment. Emma Carter. The name feels strange in my own mouth, like it belongs to a version of me that no longer exists. He nods once, then glances down at the post. "That won't hold," he says. "I know." He swings down from the saddle. I stiffen. He notices. "I'm not here to trouble you," he says quietly. "I didn't say you were." "No," he replies. "You didn't." He crouches by the post, but waits. "Mind if I?" he asks. I should refuse. Pride demands it. But the fence will fall again before night. Go on. He works without speaking, presses the soil deeper, packs it tighter, shifts the angle just enough that the strain eases. Small movements, careful ones. I watch his hands, steady, certain. You've done this before, I say. Something like it. When he stands, the post holds straighter. It'll last, he says. For now. He nods. Silence settles again, thicker than before. Where are you headed? I ask. He pauses. Not decided. That sounds like trouble. Usually is. I study him then, the dust, the quiet, the weight he carries without naming. And something in me shifts, unwanted, unfamiliar, real. You can water your horse, I say. He meets my eyes, then nods, and steps inside my land. Everything changes with that single step. He leads the horse slow across the yard, like he understands that stepping onto another person's land is not a small thing. I watch him the whole way, not openly, not enough for it to be called staring, but enough that I catch the details that matter. The way his boots sink slightly into the softer patches of dirt. The way he adjusts the reins without thinking, keeping the horse steady even as it lowers its head toward the trough. He lets the animal drink first. That tells me more than anything else. A man who tends to his horse before himself is not careless, not cruel either. But that does not mean safe. I have learned that much the hard way. I set the hammer down on the fence rail and brush my hands against my skirt, though there is nothing there to clean. You've come far, I say. He doesn't look at me right away, just rests a hand along the horse's neck, feeling its breath settle. Far enough, he answers. That doesn't tell me much. It's not meant to. There is no sharpness in his voice, just fact. I step a little closer, stopping well short of the trough. The smell of the animal reaches me first. Sweat, leather, dust baked into both. It reminds me of my father's team in late summer after long days in the field. For a moment, the memory catches me off guard. I push it aside. You're not from around here, I say. No. You passing through? Maybe. I let out a small breath through my nose. You speak like a man who doesn't want to be found. That earns me a glance, brief, measuring. Something like that, he says. The answer settles between us, heavier than it should. I don't press further. Out here, people keep their reasons close. Ask too much and you don't get answers, you get distance. And distance is the last thing I want, though I cannot say why. The horse lifts its head, water dripping from its mouth, sides still heaving faintly. She's tired, I say. He is, Daniel corrects. Name's Rusty. I nod once. He's held up well. He always does. There is something in the way he says it. Not pride, not exactly. More like trust that has been tested and proven. I understand that kind of trust. Silence stretches again, but it feels different now. Not as empty, not as sharp. He reaches for the bucket tied beside the trough and fills it again, slower this time. You're alone here? He asks. The question lands without warning. I feel it, a tightening in my chest, a brief flicker of something I've spent months keeping buried. I am, I say. No family nearby? No. He nods like he expected the answer. Hard land for one person, he says. It was hard for three, I reply, before I can stop myself. The words hang there. I regret them immediately. He looks at me then, really looks. I'm sorry, he says. Simple, direct, no pity. That almost makes it worse. I turn slightly, folding my arms without thinking. It was last winter, I add, quieter. Fever took them both. He doesn't ask anything else, doesn't offer comfort I didn't ask for. Just nods once, slow. I've seen that happen, he says. Something in his tone tells me that is all I will get, and all I should ask. The wind shifts, carrying the smell of dry grass and sun-warmed wood. Somewhere near the barn, a loose board creaks in the heat. I realize then how close he is standing. Not near enough to touch, but near enough that I am aware of it, aware of him. It unsettles me more than I want to admit. You should eat, I say too quickly, if you're riding through. He studies me for a moment. You offering? I have enough. It's not entirely true, but it's not entirely false either. He glances toward the house, then back at me. I won't stay long, he says. That's your choice. Another pause. Then, finally, he nods. All right. I turn toward the house before I can change my mind. Each step feels heavier than it should, because I know something now that I didn't know this morning. The quiet I built my life around is already slipping. Inside the house, the air holds yesterday's heat. It never quite leaves. Even with the windows cracked and the door open, it lingers in the wood, in the floorboards, in the walls that have soaked up too many long summers. I move straight to the stove, more out of habit than need, and lift the lid from the pot resting there. Beans. Not much else. I stand still for a moment, staring down at them, wondering when I began measuring my life in handfuls and portions instead of days and plans. Outside, I hear the faint shift of movement, leather creaking, boots on dirt. He hasn't left. I don't know why that matters, but it does. I take 2 tin plates from the shelf, wipe them with a cloth that's already clean enough, and ladle the beans carefully. Not too much, not too little. Enough to offer without showing how closely I count what remains. The small things matter. They always have. By the time I step back outside, he's standing near the porch, hat in his hand now. His hair is darker than I expected, pressed flat from the heat, and there's a line across his brow where the hat must usually sit. He looks different without it, less distant. That unsettles me more than it should. I wasn't sure you'd come back, he says. I said I would. Some part of me wants to leave it at that, but I don't. I hand him the plate. Our fingers don't touch. Still, I feel the closeness of it. He nods once. Thank you. We don't sit right away. For a moment, we just stand there, each of us holding something simple that suddenly feels heavier than it should. Then I lower myself onto the edge of the porch, the wood warm even through my skirt. He hesitates, then does the same, leaving space between us. Enough to be proper, not enough to feel distant. We eat in silence at first. The only sounds are the scrape of spoons against tin and the low, endless hum of insects drifting through the yard. Somewhere beyond the barn, a crow calls once, sharp and brief. You grow these? He asks after a while, glancing at the beans. Yes. Hard season for it. They're all hard seasons, I reply. That earns the smallest shift at the corner of his mouth. Not quite a smile, but close. You've kept it going, he says. I didn't have much choice. You always have a choice. I look at him then. Do you? I ask. The question comes out quieter than I intend. He doesn't answer right away, just stares out toward the fence line, where the post he fixed stands straight against the heat-shimmering field. Not always the kind you want, he says finally. There is something in his voice, something that feels like weight carried too long. I recognize it, because I carry something like it too. We finish eating without speaking again. When I rise to take the plates, he stands as well. "You don't have to," I begin. "I know," he says, "but I will." He takes his plate to the water basin beside the house, rinses it without asking where anything is, like he's done it 100 times in places that weren't his. I watch him again. I shouldn't, but I do. "You move like you're used to staying nowhere," I say. He glances back at me. "That obvious?" "Yes." He considers that. "Safer that way," he says. "For who?" "For everyone." The answer settles between us. I don't know what to make of it, and I don't ask. The sun has climbed higher now, pressing down harder, turning the air thick and slow. Sweat gathers at the back of my neck, and I can feel the day stretching ahead, long and unforgiving. "You should go before the heat gets worse," I say. It feels like the right thing, the sensible thing. He dries his hands on a cloth and picks up his hat. For a moment, I think he will. He turns toward the horse, resting a hand on the saddle. Then he pauses. "If I stay the night," he says, not looking at me, "I could fix that west fence too, and the hinge on your barn door. It's pulling loose." My breath catches, just slightly. "That's not necessary." "No," he agrees. "It isn't." Silence stretches. I know what I should say. I know what any sensible woman would say. But the thought of the night coming again, quiet, empty, unbroken, feels heavier than it did yesterday. "There's space in the barn," I say. The words are out before I can call them back. He turns then, meets my eyes, and something shifts between us, quiet, fragile, and already dangerous.